Now, Indiana winning the national championship really kind of affects and alters the sport on a much larger scale. I don't want to be rash and a prisoner of the moment, but I really don't think it's a season that we're going to see in the immediate future, if not ever again, and here's why. Indiana had the best turnover margin in the entire country, and if you're unfamiliar with turnovers and just the general nature of how they work, they're largely random, unpredictable, luck is involved. It's very hard to generate a turnover margin this good leading the country year over year just because of the randomness. Again, as it relates to turnovers, they did something no other team has done in 20 plus years. So again, this just kind of highlights and further supports generating turnovers, winning that turnover margin at such a high clip is not something that's generally sustainable. Another major factor is staff continuity. I think the importance in not only retaining your staff, but retaining your coordinators that you have a history with as the head coach is one of the most misunderstood and misvalued parts of the entire sport. Again, look at this history that Signetti has with his coordinators. That continuity, that collective mindset, that unity, just not something that you see in football these days at any level, college or the NFL. So the ability to have that shared mindset, that same vision as a head coach to pass it on down and retain it, retain that identity as a team, as a program, it's so invaluable. And again, I think that just contributes as to why we may not see this again because so much turnover happens at the collegiate level for position coaches and coordinators. Now, of course, we have to talk about the recruiting aspect of this too. Indiana's major players, beyond obviously their star quarterback, were players that Signetti had a history recruiting and coaching at James Madison, which again, what did we just talk about? Continuity. Know the culture. They know the scheme, they know their assignments, they know exactly what Coach Signetti expects out of them on the field and off the field. It's very hard to continue replicating that in the portal when you're recruiting players with experience that you haven't coached before, that you haven't spent time around. And Indiana still has to prove that because as we just talked about and as we saw, they were so portal heavy, so much of their roster were older, experienced players. And it's been proven time and again that building a roster through the portal is not a sustainable level of success. Now, believe me, this is not me knocking Indiana's recruiting tactics or their strategies or anything whatsoever. I think they've done a great job balancing the portal and high school. It's really just a matter of reinforcing my initial point that it's going to be very, very hard for a team to replicate this kind of success that Indiana had this year. And even then, contextualizing some of the statements, some of the tropes made about Indiana's player age and things of that nature, including the last tweet that we just saw. Look at the last line of this tweet. Plenty of old teams that don't perform like Indiana every year. This program was dominant every step of the way, going 16-0 and rewriting program record books. And you can debate the merits of Mendoza being a prospect worthy of being the #1 overall pick in many drafts, but the fact of the matter is he is a slam dunk first round prospect in just about any other draft over the last 5 or 10 years. That's not something you're going to get from a program every single year. Scheduling also plays a huge part in this as well, as you can see. Indiana's also losing a ton of production across their 2 deep, being that older team, being that team with a bunch of redshirt juniors, seniors, guys that are going to declare for the draft. So let's all enjoy the season from Indiana that has proven to be one of the most dominant in the college football playoff era.